in the past few weeks, I went to report as a journalist on an anti-Semitism rally, at which point I was confronted by the police and told that I had to leave my capital city because my presence could cause alarm and distress. My presence. I find that absolutely unbelievable. If that was happening, in fact, Saudi Arabia, Russia, China, our governments continuously hammer these countries as infringement of human rights, infringement of journalism, all these different problems that they say are going on there, when we have exactly the same going on here. My government have attempted to control me. They've given me conditions that I'm not allowed in my capital city. I was arrested. Did you watch the video? Did you think I'd done anything wrong when you watched it? In your opinion?
I saw I don't know what happened before or after.
Okay, nothing happened. I was sitting having a breakfast. They came in and said I had to leave the city, and then they dragged me out and pepper sprayed me from point blank range and then charged me. So I now face court for it, for attempting to do my job as a journalist, because that's all I was doing.
So can we talk a bit about the Armistice Day? Because so there were pro-Palestinian protests that day, and the Armistice Day was that weekend, obviously. So we'd like to know, because we have a predominantly Middle Eastern Arab audience, and they were very much interested in what happened. Why do we have like a group of people that, as we saw on that weekend, opposed to those protests? So can you tell me what happened that
People
day?
weren't necessarily opposed to those protests. What it was, if you go through the history over the last 10 years in this country, Islamic groups, militant jihadist groups, have continually attacked our sacred days and monuments. They set fire to poppies on Armistice Day. 2011, I was held for that. They burned poppies. Most of the men in those groups are now part of a prescribed terrorist organisation. There's been continuous problems like this, and on Armistice Day, certain Islamic voices, Dili Hussein being one of them. You know Dili Hussein from Five Pillars? It's this big Islamic website, Five Pillars. There. He put up saying that we will not respect the 2-minute silence, basically implying that members of his community and their rally were coming to disrupt the 2-minute silence at the cenotaph on Armistice Day. Now, Armistice Day is our most sacred day, where we remember people who have sacrificed their lives to give us our freedoms. And the rally, which many people unfortunately don't have the faith in the police. So because for 3 to 4 weeks we've seen Hamas flags, we've seen chants for jihad, calls for jihad in mosques, on the streets. We've seen real hatred against Jews, and the police have done nothing. So the police have been scared of the protesters. So when it come to Armistice Day, unfortunately, we wish we could just rely on the police to make sure that they didn't disrupt that sacred moment for our country. But people couldn't. So I said that I'd be there. I said that other British patriots should be there to pay their respects, and also to make sure that our day was not attacked.
So that was on Armistice Day, but would you say that the rallies that we've been seeing happen every weekend now, since the war started in the Middle East? What do you think of those rallies?
I think they're totally hypocritical. I don't see them rallying about Yemen, where 300,000 women and children have been killed by Saudi Arabia. I don't see them, if people argue about, it's always, I don't see them talking about Baluchistan, where their people have been starved, robbed and stolen every bit of wealth in their country by the Pakistani army. I just see it as so hypocritical. It's because it's Jews. I see it as Jew hatred. I see there is a problem. There's a problem with the Israeli government. There's a problem with the American government. If you look at the invasions of Iraq, of Afghanistan, of total war crimes, there are problems. But I see what we're seeing now as more about jihad than about equal rights or anything like that. I saw that when Hamas done this attack, Hamas's article on their manifesto says the final day of judgment does not come until all the Jews are dead. It doesn't say the Zionists. When people keep talking about Zionism, it doesn't say the Zionists, it says the Jews. We saw a massive outpouring of support for Hamas. We saw people openly, school teachers, people in good professions, openly calling for jihad. That's what I see these demonstrations as. So I understand some people would have gone there originally with concern. There are innocent people getting killed. There's bombs going off. I believe the people of Gaza need freeing, but I believe they need freeing from Hamas.
I have a question about, I know you have a book that came out, and you've been labelled a far-right figure, and you've been labelled some would say that you have a bit of Islamophobic comments or Islamophobic. What do you say? Why do you think that is? And what do you say? What do you say?
The term racism was always used to silence people. The term Islamophobia is now used to stop genuine criticism of anything to do with Islam. Some of these problems need talking about. We should be free and open to talk about them. If you want to stop what we saw from Hamas, what we've seen terrorism across Europe, across the world, you need to be able to speak honestly about it. I don't hate Muslims. Very clear about that. I've grown up in Luton Town. Some of the best people I've met in my life are Muslim. Some of the people I love are Muslim. I don't hate them, but I do speak openly and honestly. If I look at whether it be the Quran, whether it be the teachings of Muhammad, if I look at it and see problematic things, which I think these are problematic for our country, for Western democracy, freedom, liberty, then I'll talk about it. Now, when you try and talk about it, everyone shouts you down. Everyone wants to shut you up. So,
what do you think are the problems that you're talking about? Like, what causes? I mean, London is a cosmopolitan city. We have, people from different backgrounds.
Well, I'd say we have 40,000 Muslims on a terror watch list. We don't have 40,000 Sikhs on a terror watch list. We don't have 40,000 Hindus on a terror watch list. We have 3,000 Muslims on a terror watch list who are monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because they're planning, they're that level of threat. Yeah, that costs £9 billion a year. I believe that Wahhabism, Salafism, I believe that certain sects, heavily funded sects and organised sects, are very problematic for freedom. And I believe that violence and jihad, I don't believe our foreign policy has helped at all. I believe it's played its part, but I don't believe it's simply that. I can fully understand why many Muslims were angry with British government. I can get it. If an invading force come into this country, I'd be first person out fighting them. So I understand with what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan, the anger they caused. I believe that at the time, the British public was sold a lie, the British military was sold a lie, we're fighting weapons of mass destruction. I believe so many people now can see those lies, but I still believe there's inherently there's problems with teachings with certain aspects of Islam in the UK, and I believe that we need to be free to talk about them. I believe that if you look at British Muslims make up 5% of the UK population. They're responsible for 90% of the convictions in sexual exploitation of young children in gangs. When we look at this, and this is what I try and discuss, when you look at this, and I'm not saying every Muslim, because I know Muslim lads who would be outraged by this, yeah? What I'm saying is that these men, to justify their crimes, simply have to believe they're at war. That's why Boko Haram are kidnapping women, it's why Hamas were taking sexual slaves. They're very clear about it. We are permitted to do this by the teachings of Muhammad. We can take non-Muslim women as sexual slaves. There's 4 verses in the Quran that explicitly tell them that. One of the verses actually says they're blameless. I think we have to look at this. If we want, and remember, in the UK, we've had 65 cities where predominantly Pakistani Muslim men have raped young English girls, kidnapped them, tortured them. 1,400 girls in one town of Rotherham, 1,000 victims in the town just of Telford. 5 of them are dead. There's only 1,000 Muslim men in that town. Yeah? 1,000 victims, 5 are dead. The problem that I try to talk about is, my cousin was one of these victims in my hometown of Luton. They're our daughters, yeah? So people seem more angered with us trying to say, hold on a minute, what is going on here? Yeah? And if you reverse the roles, if Muslim girls were being raped, the whole country would be on fire. And rightfully so from their point of view, yeah? They should protect their daughters, but in our community, we're not even allowed to talk about it. You try and talk about it and highlight it, you are deemed a racist, deemed an extremist, you're silenced, big tech, government, interference, they want to control you, because they're constantly terrified of the reaction, not of us, but the reaction of what we're talking about.
But don't you think that contributes to a bit of, or there's a rise in hate crime speech in the country? Do you agree that there is a problem of, hate speech in the country? Do you think what you're saying might be giving the wrong impression to some people that, it is okay to have that kind of, hate speech?
No, I don't. And one thing I'll have to point out is you're working for a company that's owned by Saudi Arabia, where it's criminalised to be gay. That's real hate, executed for your sexuality. That's real hate. Yeah? So there is real hate going on in the world. Women getting punished. I'll read you one from Saudi Arabia, a girl who was in a car with a man, 6 of them raped her. She got 90 lashes. Yeah? That's real hate. No freedom. If you leave Islam, you get murdered in Saudi Arabia. So I find it, if a TV broadcaster that's owned by a country which is has human rights violations and women's violations like this, yeah, to sit and push propaganda talking about hate, which is going to be a couple of words online. That's the reality. There are hate crimes going on in the UK, the real hate crimes, and I'll explain them to you. One of the Muslims who killed the girl in Rochdale texted his friend the day before and said he's going to bury that kuffar bitch. That was a religiously motivated murder. He was never tried for that. All the girls that I've interviewed, I've done an in-depth investigation in the town of Telford. Every one of them was called a dirty gurra, a white bitch, a white whore. Yeah? These are real hate crimes. There's no one raping Muslim women while taunting them about being Muslim. So the hypocrisy again, and the way that it's elevated of hate crime statistics. Most of the hate crime statistics in the UK come from a group called Tell Mama. Tell Mama have been proven, they get £6 million funding by the British government. They've been proven as lying in their statistics and their cases in order to inflame the amount of hate crimes. The only real hate crimes, and the whole British public have watched them for the last 5-6 weeks, is Muslims on the streets of the UK calling for jihad, calling to gas the Jews, calling for another Holocaust. These sorts of comments that have openly been said. And what we've become very apparent in the last 5-6 weeks is that hate crime legislation that was brought in is not implemented across everybody.
I have one last question.
Yes.
About the government's policies towards immigrants. Yes. I just wanted to see if you have an opinion that you'd like to share with us about what you think. Do you think that the government is having good policies, or you think there needs to be a change towards?
So my mum was an immigrant to this country. Most of the people I love are immigrants or sons of immigrants. I'm from Luton Town. Luton's one of the most diverse towns in Europe. I've never had a problem per se with immigration. I believe right now where we're at, it needs to be totally controlled. If someone's coming into this country, they have to benefit it. We have asylum seekers. They've gone through 16 safe countries. They're not asylum seekers. If you're getting on a boat in France, you're not an asylum seeker. You're an economic migrant. You were safe in Turkey. Yeah? You've been safe in multiple other countries. Once you're then coming, it's an abuse of our country, of our system. I don't blame them for coming. I'd come. Yeah? If I was living here and the conditions weren't great, I could go to another country where life was much better. I could get a free house and free money and all these things. I'd probably do it for the benefit of my family. So I do not blame them. I blame our government for failed policies. I blame them for allowing it to happen. I don't believe they're even allowing an opportunity for any integration or assimilation because of the numbers that are coming in, how fast they're coming in. I believe that we're a ticking time bomb as a country, and the entire British public are now awake to what's happened, to the betrayal of our people by our government, and it's dangerous. It's very dangerous. The men, for example, again, I'll give you another example. A man in Bournemouth come into this country as a refugee. He was put in school, said he was 15, yeah? When he was 21, he stabbed someone, murdered a Royal Marine in Bournemouth town centre. After stabbing him, they then found out he was actually 28, which means when he went into school at 15, he was probably 21 or 22. They then found out that in Serbia, on the way to Great Britain, he'd murdered 2 people with an AK-47. First and foremost, this British government's job is to protect its British citizens. That's not British non-Muslims or whites, that's British citizens. That's everyone who's born in Britain should be protected, and they're failing miserably. They're bringing people in who they know nothing about. We have no idea. And again, if I reverse the roles and just ask the question, if you had a country here, say like that was governed by someone like Hitler, that had laws similar to Nazism, that discriminated against people, would we want those people coming into our country? If we knew, say for example, in Afghanistan, 99% of people in Afghanistan want Sharia law. Do we think they should be coming into Great Britain with those mindsets? Mindsets on homosexuality, mindsets on women, mindsets on freedom of speech. They're totally alien to our culture and our identity. So I think that we should be protecting the British public and not trying to mix oil and water, which is what they're trying to do.
Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you.
Okay.